Pat yourself on the back because you are right here, right now, for a reason. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will empower ourselves and others to live lives with more passion and purpose.
How you doing this morning, Jared?
Man, I feel good, but I got the sweatshirt on again. I think our seasons are about to change.
Oh, it's coming, man. I swear women have like a fall radar. Pumpkin spice lattes, getting excited for fall. Courtney's already throwing on sweaters, getting all excited.
Does she like fall?
Oh, yeah, it's her favorite.
Yeah, Andrea loves fall too. I don't mind it, but it's, I guess one thing I don't like is you got to dress for like 3 seasons in fall. Like it's cool in the morning, it's hot as hell during the day, and then it gets cold again. So you always got to have stuff with you. And I like just summer, man. Like it's hot all day.
That's what I'm saying. I just can't believe summer's to an end. Summer's my favorite.
Yeah, I can't believe it's September today.
September 1st.
Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, I feel like the way this year has gone, we went from like St. Patrick's Day to Labor Day, and it felt like forever initially. Now it feels like it just flew by because we were so busy with everything.
Yeah, it's like, where'd the year go? Holy shit. Almost done with 2020, kind of.
I hope so. I seriously hope so. This has been the weirdest year ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I woke up on the right side of the bed this morning.
You got a flannel on. You're looking kind of fallish as well,
good.
man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little chilly out there.
Do you believe that if you wear flannels like that, you should know how to work a chainsaw?
No.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out.
Somebody brought that up the other day about how many people wear flannels so they look on the outside like lumberjacks, but you put them near a chainsaw and they have no idea how to run it. So it's a good disguise. Well, I can't run a chainsaw either. Actually, the only time I ever tried it was cut my own leg off.
Damn.
So, yeah. Details, my friend. Yeah, I don't know. Trey loves the flannels too. They're quite popular apparently.
Versatile.
Yeah. No, they're good. That looks good on you. So you were good. We're heading into fall. Pumpkin spice lattes, the most overrated drink in the history of the world.
Not even that good.
I wouldn't even buy one. From what I hear, there's no pumpkin in it.
Oh, really?
That's what I read on some reports that Starbucks actually has no pumpkin in their latte.
Whoa, that's something to look into.
Yeah, fact check us there, community, see if we're right. But, yeah, man, here we are. Labor Day weekend's coming up. Switch to fall. And keep moving forward, hopefully.
Yeah, I usually work on Labor Day weekends just to celebrate laboring. Been a little tradition of mine.
I think that's the opposite of what it's supposed to do.
I know, man, but usually I'm just like, I'm going to get some work done.
Yeah, that's good. It's 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days is a long time if you're used to a certain pace. 3 days is a long time to just sit around, especially if you don't go somewhere or get away.
Mm-hmm. Which I usually don't on Labor Day weekend.
No, that's a tough one because everybody tries to get away. It's like all the the nature areas around are all packed. So yeah, we don't usually, unless we go up north, we don't usually do a whole lot on Labor Day either.
So speaking of Labor Day, I had a nice reflection on our review for Win the Day, Win Your Life. And I didn't purposely think about it before the weekend hit. But mid-weekend, I realized, oh, shit, when I don't make my to-do list to win the day, I subconsciously place some sort of tasks or work to do in the morning, even if it's just like around the house, getting laundry done, washing dishes, whatever it is, before I reward myself with more leisure activities. So Courtney, we woke up that morning, she was saying, let's go frisbee golfing.
Yeah.
And I've never played frisbee golf. And I said, yeah, that sounds fun. And we were talking about maybe going to a brewery before and riding our bikes and, having a couple of drinks and then doing frothing and all this stuff. And she wanted to have a real relaxed morning. And then just kind of out of nowhere, I was like, oh, well, I got to do this and I got to wash and clean. So it was funny how I realized that I kind of imposed these like tasks because I knew I didn't want to have to do that all day on Sunday. So I was like, let me get all this done, and then we can have some fun. So, yeah, I noticed that this weekend on my review.
How was frisbee golf?
Oh, it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah, I've never played. I see the courses all over, but never actually stopped to take time to play.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. And we get really competitive, so it was fun just being really close the whole time and just one toss away from going up, So it was a nice, fun back and forth game.
Did you win?
Yes, Courtney will tell you no because we got rained out. She's like, we didn't finish the game. It was only hole 16, but I was up 2.
That's funny. Yeah. So even when you don't have a list necessarily, you still find ways to force yourself to do things.
Yeah, I kind of impose those things of like, I need to get this done to win the day. And right now, like I had shared on the last episode, I'm really focused on bringing my spirituality up. So I'm focusing on hitting 1 meditation session, 1 yoga session per day. So those are kind of like those staples, as well as some sort of physical activity.
Yeah.
But I found that I'm also putting like some sort of like on top of that, some sort of additional things that are they're just chores or something that I need to get done. If it's not work related, it'll be like home related.
Yeah.
Or like, I scheduled to take my car in today for a headlight thing, like just little things like that.
Get stuff done.
Yeah, every day I kind of feel like just a little bit. How was your reflection on that?
It was good, man. I still, I thought more about why I don't necessarily do lists. And then Andrea came home, and Andrea has list for her list of lists. Like she literally have like 4 lists. I'm like, that's why I don't do lists.
Yeah.
She does enough for both of us. Yeah, I think it's like for me, I just feel like I said in the show that I've been doing it long enough. I know what I need to do. And more than things, I think we just need to take time for ourselves. I think sometimes we get too busy trying to be productive all the time, and people lose their happiness a little bit there. Because, I mean, if I understand the principles behind power lists. I know some people really like them and are very successful with it. But then I also know other people that when they start creating lists, obsess over the list, and it leads to unhappiness because you can always create more stuff on a list.
Yeah.
So it's that balance.
For sure, balance.
So that was my reflection is Andrea has enough lists for both of us.
Yeah.
So I need some freedom.
Nice. There you go. So what are we getting into today, Mr. Jared?
Well, I wanted to shift gears a little bit because I've noticed you almost feel guilty seeking this in today's world, right? You almost feel like, why should I be able to feel this when there's so much pain in the world, and there's so much suffering, and there's so much anger? So I thought we should talk about, is it too late for us to want to be happy? Is it too late to be happy? Is it wrong if we try to be happy? To shift gears, because I think there's still a lot of happiness in the world. And there's still a lot of happy moments that we're missing. Partly because of guilt, partly because appearance. We don't want, there's a lot of stuff going on. I shouldn't post something that makes me look like I'm happy because that might be insensitive to this or anti that. And the reality is time is clicking. And every moment that we're not happy or we're not celebrating is a moment you never get back. So I wanted to talk to our community about that today. Is it too late for us to be happy? And kind of explore, are we sabotaging our own happiness? Are we seeking happiness? Are we hiding it? And kind of look into that because we still have a choice, right? Do you believe we still have a choice to be happy?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, nobody's taking it from us. We've talked a ton about the media and the influence it has, but if you don't pay attention to that, or even if you do, like say you love the media, you love the news. Well, when it's done or when you interact with somebody, you still have a choice if you're going to interact from a happy place or a place of all the other emotions. So do you think, well, I know you don't think it's wrong, but why do you feel, Ali, that because we both kind of talked about this before, why do you think people are trying to make you feel wrong for seeking happiness right now?
I don't think many people are out there trying to make you feel wrong. I think right now the general consensus and feeling of the world is similar to like being at a funeral or something. You know, to where you feel like the appropriate way to be is not laughing, it's not smiling and joking around. Like this is a time to be, in a way, mourning, right? Mourning all of the negative things that we're really highlighting and broadcasting in our country. Racism, viruses, lack of empathy, lack of humanity, all of these things, to where we're really making a push for this. These organizations are coming together and putting out all of this negative content with no breaks. Like that, we're seeing it every day. And even the breaks from the mainstream media are still negative things, like the Beirut bombing. And then there's more of like, support this cause, asking for help. So I think a lot of people are kind of have this serious tone, this serious mentality of enough is enough. We have to handle this. And I'm also seeing a lot of content around doing your part, right? Making sure that you need to speak up, or you need to share on this. So I don't think it's people purposely not wanting others to be happy. I think,
but none of those messages are happy. So if I share those all day,
but I think the deeper underlying root of it is in search of happiness. Right? People want to help this cause so we can be happier, or at least that's what they believe, so we can live in a happier time.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, because when is anger led to you being happy? When have you done something out of anger in your life and the end result is happiness? Right? I'm mean to Andrea because I'm having a bad day. I take it out on her. Well, I'm not happy at the end. What am I? I'm remorseful. I'm apologetic. I'm angry at you because you didn't do something I thought you should do.
It's the first thing that came to mind is people who are still really childish, or children, when they yell and scream and then get what they want.
That's what I think right now. We are in a competition of who is loudest, not who is.
It's a childish tactic.
It absolutely is, and I do think it's designed to keep us from being happy, designed to keep us from being okay with being happy. Just look, and so that's where I want to shift it, though, because here's what I do believe. Yes, the media, organizations, causes may want you to follow them and buy into everything they're saying, but that does not remove our personal responsibility to control our emotions, to control how we interact, right? Because I think it's almost an excuse, right? The media is telling us this, social media is telling us, well, who is social media? It's us. And if all you post is stuff geared towards this and that leads into arguments with the next person, when does that end? It ends when we make a conscious choice to start seeking more happiness.
I agree with you 100%. I believe that we do have that responsibility. I just think what's going on is similar to a funeral. So like a funeral, right? If you have the opportunity to give a eulogy, the dynamics of the room are kind of in your hands. Your speaker, the spotlight's on you. So when you make a joke about the person who passed away and a very happy moment, and you make everyone in the room laugh, that uplifts the entire room. And I think that's a good analogy for what we're in right now. Like, we each have, I think you've said this before, of how we're each our own news broadcasting stations, which I love that analogy, because we are. In social media, we have the power to make a small impact on hundreds, maybe thousands, some of you tens of thousands of people, with a few clicks of buttons on our phones in an immediate instant to shape shift their thought pattern for the day, for that moment. Boom, right there. We have that power to where if we're focusing on happiness and positive things, it's going to have a domino effect. It's going to affect more people. Just like if you have the opportunity to speak at the eulogy, you can really transform how everyone's feeling with the words that you're speaking and uplift that environment, even though you're at a funeral, even though the environment that you're in is known to be and historically kind of supposed to be sad and down. You have that power to uplift. And I think we're in a very similar time right now.
So do you think you can be both? Do you think it's possible to seek daily and momentary happiness throughout your engagements and your little piece of the world, and still be concerned with some of the changes that need to take place in our country?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I try to live my life.
Right, but I think that's where we got to get our community and other communities to realize is you can do both.
Mm-hmm.
I can want racial equality and still be happy in my day-to-day interactions. But it seems like we're almost right now, they're exclusive.
Yeah.
You can't be one without the other. And to truly create a change I think we want to see and that we want to be part of, happiness and personal accountability is a huge part of that.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to get back to practicing it. We got to get back to being okay with being happy again. And what do we do to make ourselves happy?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because so for a lot of people, you think of the things that made them happy. Sports made people happy. Music, concerts, social gatherings. Well, we can't do those right now.
Right.
So how do we, or, what are you doing that allows you to find happiness every day? And maybe we can share some of the strategies we do to make sure we're still finding happiness with the community so that they can look for alternative places.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll be honest, Jared. Some days it can be really hard.
For sure.
It can be really hard in today's day and age, just because, just like you said, there's so many things that we used to go to for happiness that aren't available. My social life this year has plummeted.
Yeah.
I think everybody's has.
And for, a community, we're in Colorado, which has some of the more restrictive COVID rules in the nation. So you may have different rules, but overall, we've all lost some of our freedoms.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them. I mean, even something as simple as how you interact with strangers, right? You can't even see a smile on someone's face anymore. I no longer do my outside interviews of DAT-GRAT interviews of interviewing people about gratitude since COVID started, because It was just like, you're not really interacting.
Yeah.
And that's just scratching the surface on top of all the events and concerts and everything you're talking about. So it can be hard. And I remember those first couple months, I was like, wow, like it really impacted me when we were on the lockdown stuff.
Yeah. So we did a ton of Zoom calls.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys have been with the community for a while, you'll remember that was when we went on a heavy run of guest episodes. We were doing 2 or 3 a week.
Mm-hmm.
Because that brought us some sense of happiness, right? We were isolated in our homes. We weren't allowed to go socialize, so we did the next best thing. We brought people to us. So that was kind of a tactic to find some happiness. And we both were like, man, we feel so much better doing these than the rest of the day we're sitting around.
Mm-hmm.
So what else are you consciously doing to kind of counterbalance everything else, to allow yourself to have that happiness?
Yeah. For me, it's been things that I've found more recently in my life over the past few years that are not exactly pleasurable, right? So, for example, I'm reading the happiness book that highlights the life of the Dalai Lama, and they talk about how pleasure and happiness are very separate. However, we tend to cross those over. And kind of like I shared with you, after after my fight, I indulged in a lot of pleasure, going to an all-inclusive resort, ate a lot of food, drank a lot of alcohol on the beach, just relaxing, like a lot of these pleasurable experiences. And interestingly enough, they were very, very short-lived. They didn't contribute to lasting happiness at all. They're very, very short-lived pieces of happiness. So for me, I find lasting happiness comes through things that on the surface seem more difficult. Staying consistent with working out, with eating healthy, with meditation, with practicing gratitude, with staying hydrated. All of these things contribute to my overall feeling of well-being, which equals happiness, because I feel well, I feel healthy, I feel grateful, I feel happy, I feel calm. My state of mind is calm, and that translates to happiness. However, it's very easy, and I still do it sometimes, to forget that in fleeting moments of seeking pleasure, of wanting quick pleasures, of wanting to indulge in food, in alcohol, in whatever, in sloth, and just laying around and doing nothing, letting a whole day pass. And that translates to the opposite of happiness. You know, I get sad when I feel set back from my goals, or when you don't feel well, right? When you feel just kind of gross from overeating, or over drinking, hungover, whatever it is. So those are kind of the ways, you know, just going back to the some basic fundamental practices that translate to well-being.
Yeah, and I think listening to that, what came to mind to me is find out what you control and then do that. Brings you a sense of happiness, right? You can control your physical fitness. So whatever community members, whatever level of fitness you guys are at, seek out to improve it, like control that. You can control if you get up and go for walks. You can control if you work out. You can control if you go for a run. You don't need anybody or anybody else's rules to decide if you can move your body. Then what happens once you move your body? You're going to get endorphins released because you're pushing yourself, which is going to do what? It's going to trigger happiness, right? You can control what you eat. You can eat things that make you feel good about yourself. You can eat things that don't. Again, you control that. And whatever choice you have, there's a reward of happiness there. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is, instead of sitting and focusing on what's going to happen by the governor, what's going to happen with the president and Congress and all this, none of which I control at all, that makes me very unhappy because I have no control. Yeah, I mean, I think I have the better answer than these morons, but nobody's asking me. So to get happiness, I first have to look at, what do I control?
So is that how you take control of your happiness, is kind of focusing on control versus things you can't control?
Right. And again, it's my power. Right. And we've talked about this in a couple other episodes, where if my happiness is only determined by the happiness of people around me, I'm going to have a lot of unhappy days, because if you're having a bad day, well, now I get to have a bad day because I didn't control my happiness. Right. So the first thing is, look at what you control and put your time in there. You can control if you're reading, learning something new. Even if it's difficult, we are humans. We are meant to be curious. We're meant to ask questions. We feel good learning stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So are we going to feed our minds and our souls with stuff that helps us feel better, or negativity? But we control that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying bury your head in the sand and pretend nothing bad is in the world. Like, I do check out the news every now and then. I cross-reference stuff because I want to know what they're telling us. But then I also know that's not going to make me happy. So I have to do something immediately after that allows me to process it to be happy. Because guess what? My family's still counting on me to show up. You guys at the gym still count on me to show up in a certain manner. If I give up the power of how I'm showing up, give up the power of how I'm serving, how many moments of happiness, how many little small joys am I going to miss? So for me to be happy, first take back what you control. You control your time. You control your fitness. You control what you eat. You control what you drink. So invest in the things that you know make you happy. Most of us have a good idea of when we're our happiest. Do those things. And so that falls back to accountability, whether you need a to-do list like the last episode, a power list, or you have the discipline to do it. Get up and do it.
Accountability partner.
Right? Because I see so many people that are like, oh, 2020, I can't wait for this year to be over. Well, guess what?
It's not.
Well, it's not. And when it is, you never get it back. So did you learn any lessons? What have you learned? What is coming out of this to make sure we don't repeat it again? Or are we just going to hope it never happens again, which it may never. But say you live an average life. This is one of those years. You don't get to do this one again. And we're so far kind of, people feel powerless. People feel like, all this is just happening. Well, how we respond is up to us. Yeah, a lot of bad shit's happening. You get to choose how you respond to it. Do you respond by inactivity, sitting around the house, watching the news, thinking everybody's out to get you? Or do you respond by, okay, let me go for a run, let me go for a walk?
Where are you finding happiness during this time, Jared? How are you able to, because I know both you and I, just like everyone else, have days where we struggle with it.
Yeah.
Where we struggle with it. And even though most of us know a lot of the things that we can do that bring us happiness, sometimes simply we don't. In certain days, certain moments, we choose not to do those things.
Oh, absolutely. We're all human.
For whatever reasons.
Yeah. It's easier, to be honest. That's why, to me.
Yeah.
It's easier for me to lay on my couch and eat bad food that can just be delivered to my door instead of cooking, and lay there and just say, I would have gone to here, but I have to make an appointment to get in. I would go there, but I'm not going to wear my mask. I would do this, but, that's it's easy. And I think that's really, for me, a lot of what this whole process is challenging. Will I take easy, or will I push myself through difficult? Because think about probably the easiest 2 months of my life that I remember, at least, besides maybe being a kid when I had no control over anything, was that lockdown. I stayed at home. Amazon, I didn't realize what they were sneaking in on us, so I was ordering my shit from Amazon. It was showing up at my door. Lay around the house, watch whatever I want to watch, do some Zoom calls. Oh, there's a check in the mail. Well, that was interesting. I just literally did nothing for 2 months. Easy. What's far more difficult, opening your business against the rules, trying to rebuild stuff, going out and exercising, trying not to get sucked into that. You know what I mean? So I think, but that's where I'm happy. I'm miserable with that easy life because it's nothing I've ever worked for. And I think, contrary to what some people want you to believe, I think most of us don't like that life. They don't want to be given stuff they haven't earned. They don't want to just sit around. Like that doesn't, for me, that's not what my life's about.
Yeah. The happiness is really fleeting with that kind of life. Moment, it's over.
It's like an instant gratification.
Yeah. Quick, done. Boom.
Right. Oh, you get that check. Like, oh, that was cool. There's $1,200. And like, wait a second. What did I just give up for that? So for me, man, I just really take back control, man. And one of my biggest fears is that I'm not able to be mobile at some point in my life, and that, you lose your ability to move. And working with Parkinson's people very closely, I see that's a real fear for them. And I see how their limited mobility affects whether they can drive themselves places or so. I think of down the road, what can I do to prevent stuff like that? And it's exercising today. And then a byproduct of exercising today is I also find happiness. I also find balance on looking at the problems that we're facing and relating them to myself and being like, I still got it pretty good. I still got a lot of good people around me. And now, do I want to go enjoy my time with you today? Or do I want to sit and we're just going to basically repeat what we read on the news to each other, and both of us feel miserable when we leave.
Yeah. So how are you sharing happiness right now? Because it can be tricky.
It's hard.
It can be tricky if people receiving that in a way like you were talking about of like, oh, no, we're supposed to be angry and upset right now. How are you promoting and sharing happiness during this time? Well,
I think, one, I'm fortunate having the gym where I can be uplifting and like people are coming there seeking it.
For sure.
So I have a audience where I don't have to worry about, is this going to, oh, man, I don't know. Like you guys, like people come in the gym, they want to feel good.
Yeah.
So that's easy.
That platform. Yeah.
Right. So I have it every day. But I'll tell you where I'm noticeably not as about it, social media. Just because I just, the little bit I go on there anymore, it seems like all people want to do is fight with each other. So I'm like, well, right now I just don't post a ton. But I think that's okay. I think it's okay for people to show up in different ways in different areas. So for me, it's the gym. It's with Andrea. Just enjoying more one-on-one time with her. Okay, we can't socialize as much as we used to. Well, her and I can still do a lot of stuff. So we get more hikes in together. We get more exploring in together. And then reaching out to the people that I haven't seen. Like I've been I think you talked about this before a long time ago, like going through your contacts and be like, dude, I haven't talked to this guy forever, and just send him a good morning text. Hey, dude, thinking of you. Let me know if you need anything. Trying to put together like a group of guys I haven't seen in a while. Hey, you guys want to go hike? Because then no matter how they feel about the virus and stuff, we can be outdoors. You can wear a mask and be sick, whatever. But we can still spend a little bit of time together. So I think, but again, it goes back to, what do I control? I can control little group gatherings. I can control if I get it. You know what I mean? And when I start controlling stuff, I don't feel powerless. I don't feel like everybody's out to get me and, okay, what bad's going to happen tomorrow? I take back my power. Now I can create my happiness. Mm-hmm. Now, does my happiness look different at times? Sure. But that's not bad either. Like, why do we read all the books? For discovery. To learn something we previously overlooked. Maybe we didn't know. Well, this quarantine can be that. Because let's be honest, a lot of people weren't living their best lives, their most happy lives before Corona. A lot of them were self-imposed Corona, right? They would work a job they don't like, go home to a house that they might have bought for too much money, watch TV until they go to bed, and then repeat the cycle. So I think for me, like I was thinking about this preparing for this episode, what Corona has done for a lot of us has exposed a certain level of unhappiness that we accepted as part of our day. That we don't have to. Right? You don't have to be caught up in trying to keep up with your neighbors because that's what you think is important. Or because that's what you think is expected. If you think it's important, do it. If you think it's expected, now's a great time to make changes. You know, I mean, that's really what I started thinking about that. I was like, I remember people were like, dude, my life hasn't changed at all in Corona. This is pretty much what I do. I work all day. I go home, I sit, I watch TV for a few hours, have some beers, and I go to bed. And I'm like, okay, that's great if you're happy with that. But if you're not, now's a good time to change.
Yeah, it's always really interesting. So what I've been struggling with recently, Jared, is the difference between truly being happy, right? Because I think that there's this image of what we believe like true happiness looks like, and that's different for everybody. And also really exercising gratitude and being in a positive state no matter what your circumstances are.
Yeah.
Which I have started to get really good at, you know, looking at any situation and being able to find happiness and gratitude no matter what.
Yeah.
So how do you decide when you need to push and make a big change for your life, right? Because you're talking about a lot of people get stuck in this pattern of, hey, this is my job, this is my routine. I come home, have a couple beer, whatever. Yeah. Or maybe it's not, you know, maybe it's something different. Hey, I go to the gym every night. and then I go to bed, whatever it is. When do you think it's like, all right, I need to make a change to be more happy? Because I think there's something to be said for both arguments of like being happy and grateful for where you're at and what you have, but then it's also okay to want more and strive for more.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think that's necessary. I don't think they're exclusive. I think you could do both. But I would say the majority of people don't know what makes them happy, and that's dangerous, right? Because you said like happiness looks different for all of us. Well, I would disagree slightly with that. I would say happiness looks different for some of us. For the majority, a lot of people get caught up in happiness is what they think everybody else is doing. The new cars, the biggest house, the white picket, right? They think about it. That's what you're sold. This is the American dream and happiness. 2.5 kids, a white picket fence, a 9-to-5 job, a 401k. Because people don't really know what makes them happy, so they just do what everybody else says makes you happy.
Right.
And then you get down to the end of your life and like, shit, that wasn't as happy as I thought. So I think first off, you got to know what makes you happy. And if you don't know, try different stuff. And then second, like, I'm happy and grateful, but it doesn't mean I'm not looking, okay, what else can I do? What more is there out there? But I don't go for more. And I've been thinking about this a lot, right? Like, if I'm going to make a change, I'm not making a change because this is so bad. And that's going to be so much better. Because that's never going to be true. That's the grass is greener on the other side. And you get there and the grass is just as brown. I'm going to make a change because there's more to learn over here. I expect difficulties. I expect challenges. But it's the learning that I seek. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the book I'm reading now talks about a very dangerous frame of thought that Western civilization has that Eastern doesn't. And that is that pleasure and pain are opposites. And that pleasure is what you seek and pain is what you avoid. So you will do things that you know aren't better for your long-term growth because it provides instant pleasure instead of the pain, going through a little bit of pain to get where you want to go. But we all know on the other side of pain is usually pleasure. It's usually growth, right? Going to school, painful for some people. On the other side is the pleasure of having accomplished something. Working out, painful. On the other side is pleasure for changing your body, changing your mind.
Is that pleasure though? Because I think pleasure is more associated to those instant gratifications. Eating that delicious food, having that sex, getting that massage, that more like immediate things, to where on the opposite side of pain, I think is this more lasting pleasure, which to me is kind of more like happiness as opposed to pleasure.
I think pleasure and happiness are very similar in that context.
So what does the Eastern say? If it's in your book, it's saying Western calls them opposites, right. Pain and pleasure. So what is
they
Eastern?
Say they're together.
Okay.
They say you should seek pain because pain will lead to pleasure.
Okay.
That pain shouldn't be avoided at all costs, and that pleasure is longer lasting having gone through pain than it is by avoiding pain and doing immediate, right? So I read that and I started thinking about like alcoholism or prescription drug abuse. A lot of times there's pain, but we don't want to face the pain. So we hide from the pain through drinking, through drugs, through sex maybe. And when that instant pleasure's over, whether it's instant or a day, what happens? Pain's still waiting for you. But we know, we've seen this, even in our society. You get counseling, you talk to your buddies, you take up you work through pain. Now what's up here? A new you. Pleasure.
Yeah.
Happiness.
The new baseline.
It is. So I think that's important for us, is to realize we're in pain right now. as a society. But avoiding the pain, avoiding having difficult conversations, avoid seeking your own happiness is a short-term play.
So in our world today, we can be doing these painful things, and if we want to, be engaged in a lot of these, looking at the CDC website every day, looking at the Black Lives Matter website every day, looking at these things, participating in protests, and still do it with a sense of happiness.
You could, but you're going to have to balance it out because it's not ingrained, right? Like none of that is designed to make you happy. And I think that's where people are really facing a challenge right now is you've got to accept personal responsibility for your happiness or go to groups that do things that you know already make you happy. You know, and I think maybe that's the next wave of social cause is groups coming together to unite people for nothing other than just human experience again. Right? Like you said it before, Mother Teresa never went to a anti-war rally, but she went to pro-peace.
Yeah.
But right now, literally everything that's going on is anti-something.
Yeah, we got to be pro. And that's, it blows my mind because that's just.
So we can be pro-human.
Right.
Right? We can organize hikes. We can organize neighborhood cleanups.
That's a fundamental law, too. I mean, law of manifestation, what you focus on expands. Like, we can't
Dude, you can't out-hate.
Yeah.
Right? Think about, like, if you have hate and I have hate, neither of us win. Never. So but I think it's, like, I'm blessed to have you and our community because I think we're exactly the kind of people that can start to realize, wait a second. I just lost a day filled with watching hate and anger and hate and anger.
Right.
What if I start tomorrow wanting to be happy? And what if I call my 4 best friends and I say, let's go out and we'll go to some area and we'll just pick up trash. You know, maybe you've seen an area on the side of the road that's full of trash. We're going to go pick it up. That's an act of happiness. Right? That starts to change the energy instead of wondering whose job that is to clean that up. And that's where I think like, sometimes we think happiness and we think all these changes are these big monumental tasks when they're not. It's little things.
Yeah. I feel that right now we're in such this anti feeling though, right? To where.
Because why? Because it takes somebody to step up and change it.
What if we did like an anti-happiness rally? The focus is still happiness, right? But I wonder what kind of people
they're already busy, man.
Would show up to that. You know, an anti-love rally, anti-happiness rally. I mean, you never seen any of those. It's just interesting because this is such a fundamental concept, yet we continue to go against these anti things that we don't want to see, which the end result is we multiply it.
Right, and it goes back to, gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, the episode a couple weeks ago. We know that hating hate is a lose-lose situation. Yet we get sucked into it.
Yeah.
Like you literally see family members going after each other on social media over politics. And I'm like, both of you are losing right now. The answers lie within. We know we can create happiness. You want inclusion? Go out and seek inclusion. You know what I mean? We don't have to sit back and wait for somebody else to give it to us. So that's one of the things I'm going to continue to do is just reach out and go through contact. And maybe we'll put it up on social media. Maybe we'll organize some like on purpose hikes or something, you know, since we can't do coffee meetups like we were. And just start with us, man.
All right.
You know what I mean?
We got to get moving. It's getting cold.
No, dude, it's gonna be even better. That's one of my new happiness things.
Yeah.
Is saying instead of saying I hate winter, because how many times I've I apologize. How many times have I said that?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I hate winter. That's the last time I was saying it, because now I love the cold. I love the snow. I love...
What? Who are you?
I'm going to, man. It's I got to. Right? If I live in a place where winter is a couple months, and I literally wake up and you're... Right? I think about all them winter episodes. I'd be like, dude, I hate winter. It's so cold. I'm thinking like, okay, I'm literally creating part of some bad energy for myself. So...
Yeah.
I told Andrea last night we're going to make sure we have plenty of warm clothes, and we're going to hike in the winter. We're going to snowshoe. We're going to go out and see what kind of animals live in the winter. Because honestly, I don't know what happens in the winter because I never go outside. Or if I do, I don't go up to the mountains, but I'm going to change it.
All right.
But I think it's little things like that can bring happiness to our world and bring happiness to the people around us, regardless of what everybody else may want you to believe.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I mean, we have a right to pursue happiness, and we should.
It's interesting you say we have a right. It's in our Constitution, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I think people like you and I and our community and other leaders, we also have a responsibility to demonstrate happiness and to lead others that are maybe searching for it but not quite at the same place in their journey.
Mm.
So I think why is hate so prevalent right now? People that are filled with hate have stepped up to spread the word. When do the people that seek happiness and love step up and counterbalance that?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we're looking. Maybe that's what all this was for. Is to get those people to emerge.
Maybe. I'm telling you, I have this strong pull right now towards a sarcastic anti-happiness rally. I feel like it'd be a hit, man. I feel like it would be a hit.
Dude, maybe that's what we got to do, man. We'll go out, we'll put on, we get some shirts with the yellow face that's usually smiling. We'll put a frown on his face.
Dude, people would crack up.
We'll be like, join us if you hate happiness. If you want no more happiness. Yeah, that might be kind of entertaining. It'll be a social experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I fully believe that happiness is a choice, and it's still obtainable for us if we take control of it.
For sure.
You know what else makes people happy? Dad jokes.
Oh, what do you got for us today?
What do you call a deer with no eyes?
I don't know.
No idea.
Oh, man.
All right, let's give these guys some purposeful practice, Ali. They can only handle one dad joke around here.
Part 1 of purposeful practice is to ask yourself, what are you doing daily and weekly to allow yourself to be happy? Part 2, are you allowing others around you to be happy? Part 3, what can you do to share happiness? And part 4, email your practice to onpurpose.official@gmail.com.
Awesome, my brother. Have a great week.
Thank you. You too, Jared. And just for our community, real quick, remember, if you find any value in this episode or previous episodes in any way, shape, or form, your ticket, your payment to us is just liking, sharing, subscribing, telling someone else about the On Purpose podcast that may also get value out of this. Definitely helps us.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all here. And if you want to go a step further, join us on Patreon. That's a way you can financially contribute and help us continue to push this thing to the next level.
And remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We will see you all again next week.